There's so many, but you can kind of find that vein that I'm striking right now in music and see there was, it was just great.
I said you got them all warmed up the first, in your slot. He got them really in the opening.
A pitch battle to get Crossroads going again, but underneath it all, we've had this core.
Kid Rock, Eric Clapton, and Mick Jagger have all been in the music industry long enough to see how things have changed. But one thing they probably didn't expect was how politics would tear their friendships apart. In the past, music brought people together regardless of their differences. Sadly, it seems that period is long gone, so what exactly happened between Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow, and why are legends like Mick Jagger and Eric Clapton now speaking out? Join us as we reveal the explosive story shaking the net. Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow before the crisis. Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow were never exactly best friends, but their relationship had never gotten this low. Remember when they recorded Picture? The Picture is still rated a classic to date. Although no one could have predicted how big the track would become back then, fortunately, something about their voices blending made it unforgettable. It was raw, emotional, and relatable. It tells the story of heartbreak and regret in a real way. Fans loved it, and the song quickly became one of the most memorable moments in their careers. The collaboration itself shocked many people. Kid Rock has built a reputation for his rebellious mix of rock, rap, and country, while Sheryl Crow built her career on folk-inspired rock with a softer, more introspective tone. On paper, they didn't seem like a natural match, but in the studio, everything clicked. Their voices had an unexpected chemistry, and when we thought it was over, they did something that blew everyone's mind by bringing it to live audiences. What it was will shock you. As Picture became a huge radio hit, it climbed the charts and became a staple for both artists' fans. They performed it together multiple times, with the same emotional energy that had made the track so powerful in the first place. Their onstage presence was undeniable, and even though they didn't form a permanent team, their collaboration felt like something special. According to sources, they had mutual respect behind the scenes. They weren't besties, but got along well enough to create something lasting. They find common ground in an industry where egos and creative differences often get in the way. They came from different backgrounds, had distinct styles, and saw the world differently, but none mattered regarding the music. The only thing that mattered was making something great. As the years passed, both artists became more outspoken about their music and beliefs. Their careers continued to grow in different directions, but many didn't know that something else was changing too. Kid Rock remained true to his image as an outspoken, unapologetic critic. He was never afraid to say what was on his mind, no matter how controversial. And let's be clear, his fans loved it, and he didn't shy away from topics that others might avoid. On the other hand, Sheryl Crow had always been more focused on activism, using her platform to speak out on issues she cared about.
They were happy, I got them fed, the homework is done, they're on their way to school, and then it's like, coffee, putting my feet up on it.
As their musical paths drifted apart, their personal views also moved in opposite directions. At first, it wasn't a big deal. Musicians often have different opinions. In many cases, they can still work together despite those differences. However, over time, the industry itself started to feel more divided. Fans began paying closer attention to artists' beliefs, and social media made every opinion public. The world that once celebrated creative partnerships was now quick to point out ideological fights. Interestingly, Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow weren't the only ones caught in this shift. You see, many legendary artists found themselves in similar situations. Mick Jagger, the face of the rock and roll rebellion, had made statements that some in the industry disagreed with. Another rock legend, Eric Clapton, has also sparked some controversial debates.
In a form of desperation that here I am suddenly faced with responsibility and that I had to do something about it. So my legacy has always been.
The idea that music could unite people was fading, replaced by a growing sense that artists were being defined less by their work, and more by their beliefs. At first, people didn't think much of it. Musicians always drift apart. It's just part of the business. Just then, minor signs started to appear. There were fewer joint performances, less interaction, and eventually, a silence that made fans wonder if something more was happening. And then, something happened that shocked their fans. It became clear that something fishy was on. This wasn't just about distance or busy schedules. Something had shifted, and soon the world would discover how deep the divide had become. How politics toured Sheryl Crow from Friends. The curious thing is that in the past, these artists could set aside their differences and focus on music from the past. Still, the growing political and cultural divide suddenly made it harder to ignore. Then came the headlines. Sheryl Crow admitted that she had sold her Tesla. She said she could no longer be associated with Elon Musk because of his role in the Trump administration. The statement reflected her stance on political issues and sparked much debate among fans and fellow musicians alike. But for fans who still hoped that she and Kid Rock could reunite for another collaboration, it felt like yet another sign that their relationship had changed. And then there was Kid Rock. Unlike Sheryl, he had never been one to distance himself from controversy. He was open about his views, unapologetic about his support for Trump, and unafraid to speak his mind. To him, losing friends over political differences wasn't a loss. It was just a way to find out who stood by him, and they weren't the only ones. The music industry had changed. It was no longer just about the songs, the tours, or the collaborations. It was about what an artist stood for, what they believed in, and who they associated with. That's where Eric Clapton and Mick Jagger came into the picture. Like Kid Rock, they had been in the industry long enough to see these changes firsthand. They had watched as friendships turned into rivalries, as musical partnerships dissolved because of political disagreements. They had lived through the golden age of rock and roll when it was all about the music, and now they were witnessing something entirely different. As more artists started to speak out, it became clear that Kid Rock wasn't the only one with something to say. Soon, Mick Jagger and Eric Clapton would break their silence too, and when they did, the conversation would only get louder. Believe it or not, you don't want to miss the full gist. Kid Rock didn't just support Republican candidates. He embraced the entire movement, becoming a cultural symbol of defiance against what he saw as political correctness and mainstream media narratives. His support for Donald Trump wasn't subtle. It was loud, proud, and often controversial. Remember his performances at Trump rallies? He even sold "Let's Go Brandon" merchandise, so Kid Rock clarified where he stood. He wasn't just a musician anymore. He was a political figure in his own right. On the other hand, Sheryl Crow moved in a different direction. Always known for her environmental activism and progressive views, she became even more outspoken during Trump's presidency. She didn't just voice her concerns in interviews, she took action. Remember that we mentioned earlier how she sold her Tesla? That's how serious she is about it, although many have dismissed it as performative activism. Either way, it was clear that Crow wanted no association with anything remotely linked to Trump's world. In case you don't know how bitter their differences have grown, Kid Rock recently admitted that they weren't precisely calling each other up for dinner anymore. The friendly banter they once shared turned into a quiet distance. Kid Rock, never one to hold back, openly admitted that his political stance had weeded out some idiots from his life, and while he never named Crow specifically, the message was clear. Despite the growing distance, there was still an underlying respect, or at least an understanding that their past couldn't be erased. Kid Rock acknowledged that he and Crow had clashed, particularly over gun control. Crow strongly advocates for stricter regulations, and she sees firearms as a public safety concern, while Kid Rock views them as a fundamental right. The debate between them wasn't just theoretical, it was personal. Despite those disagreements, Kid Rock still referred to Crow as someone he loved, like a sister. But that is not the most interesting part. Keep watching. The disturbing trend in American politics. The truth is that these issues are part of the growing trends in the entertainment industry. Once able to collaborate without politics getting in the way, musicians are now caught in the middle of an increasingly polarized world. To make matters worse, fans are taking sides too. Some see Kid Rock as a fearless patriot, and others view Crow as a principled activist. There is no denying that politics has always been part of the entertainment industry. Still, it has become a dividing line separating friendships, collaborations, and entire fan bases in recent years. What once seemed like simple differences in opinion has now turned into full-fledged ideological battles. Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow are drifting apart, just one example of how political beliefs have reshaped relationships in the music world. They weren't the first, and certainly won't be the last. Take the case of Taylor Swift and Kid Rock. While they were never close friends, there was a time when Swift kept her political views private. It helped her to appeal to a broad audience. That changed in 2018 when she publicly endorsed Democratic candidates and became an advocate for progressive causes. Kid Rock didn't hold back his criticism. He mocked Swift's political stance and claimed she only spoke out to maintain her career in Hollywood. Their clash wasn't just a tiny disagreement, it shows the growing divide between artists who align with conservative values and those who lean liberal. Another example is the fallout between Kanye West and John Legend. The two had been friends for years, supporting each other's music and careers, but when Kanye publicly endorsed Donald Trump, things took a turn. John Legend, a vocal Democrat, expressed concern over Kanye's endorsement. That is not all. He sent him private messages urging him to reconsider. In typical fashion, Kanye made the messages public, making it clear that he wasn't backing down, and guess what? Their friendship was never the same after that. Even in the rock world, politics has destroyed long-standing friendships. Roger Waters and David Gilmour of Pink Floyd already had a complicated history, but their political differences drove more wedge between them. You know, Waters is an outspoken critic of the US government and Israel. He frequently uses his platform to promote his views, but Gilmour has distanced himself from such activism. The tension between them isn't just about music anymore, it is about ideology. The funny thing is that the country music scene hasn't been immune to this trend either. The Dixie Chicks faced massive backlash in 2003 when they criticized then-President George W. Bush. At the time, they were blacklisted from country radio, and their careers took a hit. But years later, the industry seemed just as divided when artists like Jason Aldean and Morgan Wallen made headlines for their political stances. Some fans rallied behind them, while others rejected them entirely. The entertainment industry has always been political to some extent, but in today's climate, there's little room for neutrality. Artists who take a stand are often met with overwhelming support or fierce opposition, and those who remain silent are criticized for not speaking out. Social media has only amplified the problem, so friendships barely survive when political beliefs don't align. For Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow, the shift was gradual but inevitable. They started at a time when collaboration was based on musical chemistry rather than political ideology, but as the world changed, so did their relationship. The question is whether artists can separate politics from their connections, or if the industry will continue down a path where ideological differences mean the end of friendships, and what happens when personal history and shared experiences collide with political ideologies. The world they now live in is far different from the one that brought them together in the first place, and no one sure knows how all this is going to end. The fallout on live TV. In a sudden, shocking development that stunned all her viewers, Kayleigh McEnany's reputation as a powerful voice of the conservatives and a Trump loyalist was tested during a live broadcast on Fox News. Surprisingly, the events leading to McEnany's exit from Fox News began during a live analysis of Republican primary polls a few months ago. Little did she know that her frank assessment of President Trump's chance would have a ripple effect on her career. McEnany told viewers she doubts Trump's overwhelming dominance among other candidates, especially Ron DeSantis.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
If you think that was all, you are in for a shock. McEnany reported further that Trump's lead over Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was narrower than previously indicated. To make matters worse, she noted a mere difference of 25 points between DeSantis and Trump rather than 34. For the Republican frontrunner, this deviation from his preferred narrative was unacceptable. What Trump did next left everyone rattled. Keep watching to find out. Trump immediately took to Truth Social, his social media platform, to rebuke McEnany. In a scathing post, he referred to her as milquetoast. His criticism did not end there. He called her a rhino, a short form for Republican in name only, and called for Fox News to use real stars rather than bad reporters. This public attack shocked many political observers, considering McEnany's steadfast loyalty to Trump during her tenure as White House press secretary from April 2020 to January 2021. Her rapid responses and fierce defense of Trump in press briefings earned her a reputation for being tough on the media and deeply committed to Trump's messages. To see her loyalty repaid with a public rebuke caught both her supporters and critics off guard, turning what was meant to be a normal news segment into a political controversy. That is not all. Recall that Trump also called for her sacking. Many observers believe he took things a bit far. Interestingly, this is not the first time that Trump and McEnany would engage in public banter. In 2016, McEnany was a CNN contributor who was highly critical of Trump. By 2021, she had transformed into one of his most visible defenders. When she was appointed to the White House by Trump, she radically changed from skepticism to unwavering support for Trump.
While in 2016, President Trump became the duly elected president, many sought to undermine him, discredit him, delegitimize him, and deny his victory.
By the time she stepped into the role of press secretary, she had already proven her allegiance, often clashing with reporters while delivering Trump's talking points with precision and confidence. McEnany admitted that the incident was not the first time she had faced backlash for comments made on air, but it was the most severe. It was also the first time someone she considers an ally would openly call for her sacking for discharging her professional duty. That is not all. She also noted that past criticism was often constructive and often came from outside sources or political opponents. This rebuke was personal and direct. She feels attacked and overwhelmed. The stakes were higher because it involved her credibility as a journalist and a former government spokesperson. For a second, let's take our minds off McEnany. Her employer suffered almost a bigger blowback, and their reaction to the crisis left McEnany rattled. Before the crisis, Fox News faced criticism for its close ties to Trump. When the crisis erupted, the network found itself in an awkward position. On one hand, McEnany was a valuable asset. Her tenure as press secretary had made her a popular and trusted figure among conservative viewers. On the other hand, the network could not afford to ignore its core audience, many of whom remain loyal to Trump. The situation put Fox News in a tight spot, raising questions about its editorial direction and how much it would continue to align itself with Trump's political narrative. According to anonymous sources, some senior board members expressed concern over the incident, suggesting that McEnany's credibility had been unfairly undermined. McEnany's mates and the general public's reaction to Trump's criticism of McEnany is interesting. Let us examine that up close. Reactions to Trump's criticism of McEnany.
Well, first, let me note, I was asked a question on Fox Business about the president's travel restrictions. I noted what was the intent behind those travel restrictions, which is we will not see the coronavirus come here, we will not see terrorism come here, referring to an earlier set of travel restrictions.
McEnany's co-hosts on Outnumbered and other Fox personalities did not comment publicly on the controversy. Media experts suggest that the silence spoke volumes. For instance, it could imply internal tensions, division, and debates between journalistic integrity and loyalty to Trump. Trump supporters used social media to defend his position or condemn McEnany's reporting as inaccurate. Meanwhile, a few others criticized Trump for attacking someone who had been one of his most loyal defenders. Political analysts on rival networks like CNN and MSNBC seized the opportunity to show what they viewed as a growing divide between the Republican Party and the pro-Trump media structure. Some critics took it further. According to them, the criticism was part of a broader pattern, the former president's intolerance for dissent, even from those within his inner circle. You won't believe other shocking observations they made about Trump. Trump seems to have formed a habit of criticizing allies when they don't agree with him. For instance, when he had fallouts with former allies such as Michael Cohen, Anthony Scaramucci, and Omarosa Manigault Newman, Trump made harsh comments about them in public. Even with the controversy, McEnany tried to remain calm and composed. During subsequent broadcasts, she did not address Trump's comments directly. Instead, she focused on her role as a political analyst. Analysts believe her decision not to engage in a public feud with Trump was a strategic move to maintain her credibility and avoid further escalations. But reports suggest that McEnany was deeply affected behind the scenes. She had built a career on fierce loyalty. The public dismissal by Trump brought a new reality. Her career and professional identity were being jeopardized by a political figure who could turn on allies at any moment. That is not all. McEnany spent most of her term as White House press secretary clashing with mainstream media over issues such as COVID-19, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the 2020 election results.
What he's doing is he's offering a choice to the American people. We had a novel virus come in from China. The American people have a choice. Open the country safely with President Trump.
Even after leaving the White House, McEnany frequently praised Trump on Fox News, describing him as the future of the Republican Party. She also defended his policies as beneficial to America, advocating for his leadership style and dismissing criticisms as media bias. This consistent support made her one of the most prominent defenders of his legacy on television. Observers also noted that Trump never once endorsed McEnany's Fox News career. Instead, her loyalty was taken for granted. McEnany Aslow complained about Trump's double standards. For instance, figures such as Rudy Giuliani, Steve Bannon, and Marjorie Taylor Greene had, at various points, departed from Trump's narrative, but surprisingly, he forgave them. McEnany did not enjoy the same leniency. McEnany also feels offended because Trump refused to offer an apology or retraction following the milquetoast comment. Political commentators believe their relationship was never built on mutual respect, but utility. The reaction of conservative media outlets also surprised everyone. How did they respond? Did they offer any support to McEnany? Get ready as we reveal the disappointing response from fellow conservative media outlets. Conservative outlets like Newsmax and Breitbart did not discuss the incident, while mainstream networks such as CNN and MSNBC seized the opportunity to attack both McEnany and Trump. We mentioned earlier that she regularly works with liberal outlets like CNN. When the controversy started, she became a target of liberal attacks without any support from her conservative relatives. Perhaps the saddest part is that many doubt whether McEnany's position at Fox News will be sustainable in the long term. Some sources say her association with Trump was her greatest strength, and now her biggest liability. While her career and future hangs in the balance, Fox executives still struggle to respond without offending their pro-Trump audience or their commitment to credible journalism. Impacts of Trump's attack on McEnany and her future path. While Fox News has traditionally been viewed as a pro-Trump network, its audience is now more fragmented. Competing networks like Newsmax and One America News Network cater to viewers seeking unfiltered pro-Trump content. At the same time, Fox has increasingly positioned itself as a larger conservative platform, willing to feature dissenting voices within the Republican Party. For instance, this year's GOP primary was marked by increasing polarization, with some factions remaining fiercely loyal to Trump, while others supporting figures like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley.
Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis has expressed interest in being Donald Trump's pick for defense secretary.
Prominent Republicans expressed concern over Trump's public attack on McEnany. Many viewed McEnany as a dedicated conservative who faithfully served the party and the Trump administration. The incident raised alarms about Trump's treatment of former allies and whether his approach to loyalty was sustainable in the long term. After Trump's attack, McEnany adopted a strategic silence, refusing to engage in a public war of words. According to political analysts, other prominent conservatives who had faced Trump's wrath adopted a similar approach. What happened to McEnany also raised questions about the role of female voices in conservative media and politics. As one of the most prominent women in Trump's administration, she thrived in the male-dominated political administration with remarkable success. But the incident raised questions about the challenges faced by women in maintaining their standing within a movement that often places loyalty over individual agency. Female conservatives like Liz Cheney and Elise Stefanik have faced similar struggles. Cheney was removed from her leadership position for opposing Trump, while Stefanik rose by aligning herself closely with him. McEnany's situation sits somewhere in between because she remained loyal but was still subjected to public criticism, demonstrating the dangers of female leadership in this political environment. With Trump winning the 2024 presidential race, speculation about McEnany's future has intensified. Some believe she would walk away from television into a more active political role, perhaps aligning back with Donald Trump. Others suggest she may write a book detailing her experiences and exposing the inner workings of the Trump administration and the conservative media ecosystem. That is not all. There are rumors that McEnany could take on a more prominent role at another conservative media outlet, using her platform to shape the narrative around the Republican Party's future. Whether she remains aligned with Trump or distances herself will likely depend on how the next couple of months. As the President of the United States, Donald Trump will undoubtedly maintain dominance in the Republican Party. This means loyalty would remain a central tenet of the movement. The public fallout between Kayleigh McEnany and Donald Trump may have started with a simple polling statistic. Still, it has become a defining moment for her career and the conservative movement. As McEnany walks through the aftermath, her choices will likely influence her future and the direction of conservative media and Republican politics. Whether she continues to rise as a leading voice or becomes another casualty of Trump's political orbit remains to be seen. Still, one thing is clear. McEnany's story is far from over. Critics insisted that The View hosts, including Sunny Hostin, had always danced close to the edge of controversy, using sharp humor and cutting commentary to address public figures. Yet none could have predicted such a large-scale legal move from a former First Lady. Sunny Hostin's own personal crisis, tied to her shocking ancestral revelation, only added to the chaos. When Sunny hinted on live television that Joy Behar's jokes could have fanned the flames that led to Melania's lawsuit, viewers were left stunned. Joy quickly defended herself, blaming Sunny for casting blame in all the wrong directions. In the heat of the moment, lines were drawn and alliances shaken, turning a once tight-knit set into a battleground. Meanwhile, television producers worried that advertisers would run for cover, fearing a long, messy court battle. As the legal wheels turned, fans were left to wonder if The View could ever return to normal, or if this legal fight would tear the show apart forever. Many feared permanent damage was inevitable. Sunny's implication of Joy. Behar. Sunny Hostin caused an unexpected storm on The View by hinting that Joy Behar's jokes might have triggered Melania Trump's huge lawsuit. During a tense live broadcast, Sunny suggested that Joy had pushed certain narratives, fueling a legal battle worth a stunning $100 million.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the First Lady anymore.
The audience was shocked, and Joy looked ready for a fight. She shot back with a strong response, asking Sunny if she really believed a few jokes could spark such serious legal action. Behind the scenes, producers scrambled, worried that viewers might think The View had crossed a line. Some fans felt Sunny's accusation was unfair, while others believed Joy's commentary could have played a part in Melania's decision to sue. Social media lit up with heated debates, memes, and endless threads analyzing every word. For years, Joy's bold humor had been a major draw, and many viewers loved her unfiltered takes. Now, Sunny's remark put that style under the microscope. How responsible should a show host be for the fallout of their jokes? Could an innocent quip really inspire a lawsuit? With tension rising, Joy refused to stay silent. She reminded everyone of Sunny's recent contradictions regarding her own family's past. Joy demanded better accountability from Sunny, who had always claimed to stand for truth and justice. By the time cameras faded to black, the damage was done. A once friendly environment had turned into a battleground, and the drama was only beginning. The future of their partnership remained uncertain. Joy Behar's clapback. Joy Behar's clapback on The View became a shocking moment that fans would never forget. The live broadcast was already tense when Sunny Hostin suggested Joy's jokes might have fueled Melania Trump's massive lawsuit. Suddenly, Joy turned the tables. She locked eyes with Sunny and refused to let the slight go unnoticed. Joy reminded Sunny that she had always demanded others face their past mistakes. Now, when Sunny's family secret emerged, she brushed it off as a mere product of history. This blatant contradiction enraged Joy, who felt unfairly blamed for something outside her control. Without raising her voice, Joy calmly listed moments when Sunny had held public figures accountable, insisting they examine their wrongdoing. Joy's words cut to the heart of Sunny's shifting narrative. Viewers were stunned by Joy's pointed approach, admitting on social media that she had pushed back with unexpected force. Some praised Joy for defending herself with reason and clarity, while others wondered if she had gone too far, humiliating Sunny on air. Producers watched nervously, hoping the conflict would simmer down, but it only grew more intense. Both women stood their ground, creating a tense, unforgettable scene that quickly became a trending topic. Joy's fierce clapback revealed underlying issues within The View that ran deeper than a single lawsuit or family secret. It also exposed the delicate balance between humor, fairness, and personal accountability, a balance that now seemed dangerously close to snapping. Viewers wondered if the show could recover from this. Thank you for staying with us. Is there still room for a middle ground, or is this just another case of two paths permanently closed? Share your opinions with us in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the following video on your screen and you will enjoy it.